Welcome to CLA 204 Listening Comprehension Skills Study Session 1 Listening, Definition, Purpose, and Values. Introduction. Listening is the neglected communication skill. While all of us have had instruction in reading, writing, and speaking, few have had any formal instruction in listening. In this session, you will be examining the concept and process of listening. You will also be exploring the differences between hearing and listening. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Define listening and hearing. Identify purpose for listening. 3. Outline the values of listening efficiency. Communication and listening comprehension. Research shows that 45% of our time is spent on listening. We listen more than speak. If this listening skill is used in a proper way, we can master the tools of communicative skills. Listening is difficult, as human mind tends to distract easily. A person who controls his mind and listens attentively acquires various other skills and is benefited. Have you ever given a thought to the complexity of listening in your life? Imagine yourself in one of the consulting rooms of the teaching hospital, says the University College Hospital, UCH, Ibadan, Oyo State or Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LUTH. Lagos for a yet to be identified disease. As you are being examined and interviewed, some soft music from your favorite artist is coming from a small transistor radio in the physician room. You cannot resist the music and you at the same time are responding well to the consultant question. Then the telephone rings. The doctor's attendant picks the receiver and enters into a conversation with the caller, who is inquiring about your whereabouts. You hear your name being repeated and you unconsciously cut in and plead with the attendant to ask the caller to wait for you somewhere outside the doctor's room. In spite of the anxiety over your state of health, you are still able to participate actively as a listener in a series of communicative activities. You must have listened to the physician, the music, the telephone conversation, and probably other forms of meaningful and meaningless noises in and around the room in which you are. You accomplish these entire tasks at the same time with little or no difficulty. You have no doubt performed remarkable feat of listening. What then is this listening? Definition. Listening is a communicative activity in which a person pays attention, receives oral stimuli, understands and interprets the message, and then responds to the message. In other words, listening involves attention, hearing, comprehension, and remembering. Listening is hearing the sound and attaching meaning to it with deliberate intention. Listening is a skill that improves through conscious effort and practice. Listening comprehension encompasses the multiple processes involved in understanding and making sense of spoken language. These include recognizing speech sound, understanding the meaning of individual words, and understanding the syntax of sentences in which they are presented. These are definitions from earlier scholars. 1. Baker 1971 defines listening as a selective process of attending to hearing, understanding, and remembering oral symbol. 2. Jones 1956 defines listening as a selective process by which sounds communicated by some source are received, critically interpreted, and acted upon by a purposeful listener. Ampleman 1958 defines listening as the act of giving attention to the spoken word, not only in hearing symbols but in the reacting with understanding. A thorough examination of all the definitions above and even many other reveals that listening is a very active activity whereby a listener must attend to, hear, understand, and remember. No effective communication can take place on the listener's part without developing effective listening skills in these areas. Hence, effective listening skills are the ability to actively understand information provided by the speaker and display interest in the topic discussed. It can also include providing the speaker with feedback, such as the asking of pertinent questions, so the speaker knows the message is being understood. Listening and hearing. Hearing is a physical yet passive act involving the process and function of perceiving sound. Hearing is the reception of sound. Listening is the attachment of meaning. Hearing is, however, a necessary prerequisite for listening and an important component of the listening process. Hearing is the physiological aspect of listening. It is the non-selective process of sound waves impinging on the ear. Hearing is the most fundamental part of listening. It can be diminished by physiological disorder, background noise, and auditory fatigue. A temporary loss of hearing caused by continuous exposure to the same tone or loudness. Listening combines the cognitive and affective processes, and that is why one can be hearing but may not listen. Values of listening efficiency. As you must have observed, we use listening more frequently than any other form of verbal communication. Listening, therefore, is an aspect of communication that is very vital to our existence and survival. From our youth to old age, we spend most of our times on listening. We listen to stories, real and imagined, new items, chit-chats, music, lectures, radio, and television advertisements, weather forecast, business news, report, events in the family circle, commercial transaction, etc. In such, we listen to what to listen to, and every one of us has his own listening behavior, which differs from one person to the other. Through listening, we acquire knowledge, for listening is a language learning activity. Through listening, we use the knowledge already acquired to develop ourselves. Through listening, we can build our own vocabulary, for many of our speaking and writing vocabulary items are derived from words we gain while listening to others. Above all, we use listening as a study method, and from it carry out assignments and pass our examination. As a student, teacher, housewife, travelers, businessman, and professional, we all listen to keep the world moving. It is necessary to listen because it is important to our everyday life. We listen in all our educational institutions, high or low, and outside them, for facts and details, process them, note them, store them, recall them, and use them later. More importantly, we study listening for it enables us to perfect our skills in learning generally. Study session summary. Listening is a complex process of receiving communication, attending to it, comprehending it, and responding to it appropriately. It ensures the success of a face-to-face communication, for without it, oral communication cannot take place. In this study session, you have learned about listening, hearing, the purpose of listening, and the value of listening efficiently. End of study session 1. Thanks for listening.